People always say the night shift is boring, peaceful, easy money. That's mostly true, unless you work in a half-abandoned hospital at the edge of a dying town. My name's Elian Vask. I've been doing private security for over a decade, but nothing sticks with me like the 3 months I worked nights at Caretaker Memorial. They were shutting the place down wing by wing, transferring patients elsewhere. The mental health wing, though, Wing C, stayed open longer than the rest. Something about insurance delays. That wing always had a strange feel to it. The air was heavier, like it held its breath. There were long stretches of silence that made you feel like you were underwater. My job was simple. Clock in at 6:45 p.m., patrol every hour, keep logs, report anything out of place. But one night, just after 7 p.m., everything changed. It started with a small sound. I had just sat down in the security booth near the old admin desk when I heard a faint drip, 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 not uncommon. The roof leaks sometimes. I got up to check it out. The sound led me toward the main waiting area near Wing C's entrance, a section no one used anymore. That's when I saw her, a girl, maybe 15 or 16, sitting perfectly still in one of the cracked vinyl chairs. Her head was down, long black hair covering her face. What hit me first wasn't her presence. It was that she was soaked. Her hospital gown clung to her skin like she'd been caught in a storm. A small puddle had formed under her feet, and her wet hair dripped steadily onto the floor. I spoke. "Hey, are you okay?" No answer. I stepped closer. "Did someone leave you here?" Still nothing. I pulled my radio and called it in. Got a patient unattended in the Wing C lobby. Female minor, looks drenched. No response. Just static. I turned back. She was gone. No footsteps. No sound. Just a puddle, still there, spreading slowly. I checked the wing's nurse station. No patients matching her description. Staff brushed it off. Maybe a hallucinating resident wandered. But the psych beds were all accounted for. Still, something about her didn't sit right. That level of silence, that stillness, and the water. I tried to laugh it off, but I couldn't shake it. So the next night, I kept an eye on the waiting area. 6:50 p.m., empty. 7 o'clock, still empty. At 7:03 p.m., the cameras glitched. A quick flicker. I rewound footage. At 7 hours, 3 minutes, and 12 seconds, she appeared. Not walked in, appeared. One frame, she wasn't there. The next, she sat. Didn't move. Dripping wet. Head bowed. The footage scrambled again a few seconds later, and she vanished. Just gone. I checked every entrance, hallway, and access point. Nothing. That wing had been sealed on the west end for mold damage. Nobody should have been able to enter or exit. But there she was, sitting like she had been waiting for hours. The following night, I returned early and went straight to the waiting room. Sat there myself, in the same dim lighting just to see. 7 p.m. Silence. 7:02. The air shifted. Colder. 7:03. From the far hallway, the one under construction, I heard soft, slow sloshing, like bare feet moving through a shallow puddle. I stood, heart thudding. She appeared at the corner. Same gown. Soaked. Hair matted. This time, she was closer, maybe 10 feet away. Still silent, still dripping. I couldn't move. Every part of me screamed to run, but something kept me rooted there. She raised her head. Her eyes were open, but empty. Her mouth was moving, slowly, forming words I couldn't hear. And then, in a sudden jerking motion, she turned and walked straight into the sealed hallway, to the yellow caution tape. I finally broke from the trance and ran after her. I tore down the tape, pushed open the barrier door. It hadn't been unlocked in weeks. Inside, the corridor smelled like rot and mildew, walls blackened with water damage. But the floor? Dry, except one room, a patient room, half torn apart. On the bed lay a rusted nameplate. Hartley, Eliza, drowned. My stomach dropped. That name, I'd heard it. Years ago, a patient had died during a bath. Seizure. No one found her for hours. The story had been buried, and the room sealed during the mole crisis. But she hadn't drowned in a tub. Not according to the original incident report I found buried in the archives. She had wandered off during a staff change, found in the west hallway, wet, alone and already gone. Time of death, 7:03 p.m. I filed a report. No one responded. They blamed faulty sensors and heat-induced hallucinations. But the next night, on my desk, was a hospital bracelet. Not dusty or old, fresh, still damp. It had my name on it. VSK E, patient number 3138. I quit the next day. Burned every uniform. Deleted every photo I took of that wing. But I still dream about her. About the sloshing sounds. The dripping. The silence. Sometimes I wake up at exactly 7:03 p.m. and the bed is wet. Hello, friends. Thank you for watching. A special shout out to our incredible subscribers. You help keep these powerful and eerie stories alive. But here's something you might not know. Only 30% of our viewers are actually subscribed. If you enjoy content like this, please hit that subscribe button. It only takes a second, but it makes a huge difference. While you're at it, don't forget to like and share to help others discover these chilling journeys. You made this possible, and I'll see you in the next one if you dare. I used to think nursing homes were peaceful places, quiet, predictable, but that was before Alderbrook, before Room 6. My name's Morvenhale. I worked the night shift as a security watchman at Alderbrook Retirement Home, just outside Bell Hollow. The place was half forgotten, mostly underfunded, mostly ignored. I was hired after a break-in, though the real threats weren't thieves. They were already inside. Room 6 had been empty since I started. Locked, sealed off. I was told an elderly patient had passed under difficult circumstances. That's how they put it. Difficult circumstances. The staff never said more. Nurses avoided the room like it was cursed. Even in daylight, they'd speed walk past it. I didn't think much of it until that first cold week in October. Every evening around 7 p.m., I'd pass Room 6 during rounds. At first, I thought it was just the old walls creaking. But soon, I started hearing soft scratching, like fingernails dragging across wood. Then came the crying. At first, faint, just enough to make me doubt myself. But by the third night, it was undeniable. A long, slow, muffled wail coming from inside Room 6. I reported it. The nurse on duty, an older woman named Fran, just shook her head. That room sealed. No one's been in there in years. I asked what happened. She hesitated. All I'll say, she muttered, is she screamed for hours, and no one heard her, not until it was too late. The next night, I came early, decided to get a good look. Room 6 was at the far end of the hallway. Lights flickered near it constantly, even after maintenance replaced the bulbs. I had a master key, but when I tried in Room 6's door, it jammed. I pressed my ear to the wood. Silence. Then, as I started to pull away, 3 slow knocks echoed from the other side. Not a patient knock, intentional, deliberate, as if whoever or whatever was inside wanted to be heard this time. I stepped back. My skin went cold. I left the door untouched and finished my rounds. That night, I reviewed the electronic call system, the one used to monitor patient assistance buttons. Room 6 had no power, no patient, but the system showed that the emergency button inside Room 6 had been triggered every night for the past 12 nights. Always at 7 p.m., always for exactly 3 minutes. I brought it to the facility manager. She scrolled through the data, looked at me with hollow eyes, and said, "Must be a glitch." But she didn't look surprised. She just looked tired. I decided to go inside. The next night, just before 7 p.m., I used a set of old brass keys I found in the basement records room, ones not listed in the new system. The door creaked open, thick with the smell of bleach and old plaster. Room 6 was perfectly preserved. Bed made, oxygen tank in the corner, a cracked mirror above the sink. It was dusty, but not abandoned. On the floor near the bed, I found something strange. Deep, deliberate claw marks beneath the windowsill, like someone had scratched the wood raw. Then the lights flickered. My radio cut out. The room's call button blinked red. It wasn't connected to power. And then the screaming started. It came from all directions, like it was inside the walls. It wasn't loud, but it pierced through your skull. Thin, desperate, like someone trapped between worlds. It went on for exactly 3 minutes. I stood frozen until it stopped. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I searched the archives. Had to dig into physical files. They'd scrubbed most of the digital records. But I found it. A dusty manila folder labeled Mara Ellsworth, do not resuscitate. Mara was a stroke patient, late 60s, diagnosed with locked-in syndrome. That's when your mind is fully conscious, but you can't move, can't speak, can't scream. Except that's not what the nurses thought. They believed she was catatonic, unresponsive. Then the heat wave came. The AC failed in her room during a staff shortage. She cooked slowly in that bed while everyone ignored the call light, assuming it was a malfunction. But Mara wasn't unconscious. She was awake. She was screaming, just not in a voice anyone could hear. By the time a nurse checked her room, Mara's fingernails had been torn down to the quick. Scratches covered the walls and wood. Her mouth was wide open, jaw cracked, silent. After that, room 6 was sealed. I wanted to forget. Tried to, really. But the last night I worked there, I found something that made me leave for good. I was doing rounds. It was 7:03 p.m. The call light for room 7, the one next door, started blinking. I rushed in. The room was empty. Resident had passed away 2 nights earlier, but the call button kept flashing red. When I looked closer, I saw something on the wall under the window. Fresh scratch marks. Thin, jagged, as if someone was moving next door. I quit that night. Didn't wait for the morning. Didn't give notice. A few months later, I passed by Alderbrook on Drive. It was shuttered, fenced off, graffiti scrawled on the sign. But I swear to you, even through my closed car window, over the sound of traffic and wind, I heard it. A woman, screaming from inside the building. They say the dead don't bother you if you leave them alone. That's a lie. My name's Thorne Wexley. After I left the military, I took a quiet job as night caretaker at Waverly Cemetery, an old Victorian graveyard just outside of town. Overgrown ivy, leaning statues, crypts no one visits anymore. It felt like the perfect place to be left alone. I didn't mind the quiet, or the cold. Even the odd animal sounds in the dark didn't bother me. But what I saw in that place, what followed me, still haunts every hour I'm awake. It started with Grave 119. My job was simple. Lock the gate at 7 p.m. sharp. Do rounds once an hour. Keep the place tidy. Remove trash, log disturbances. One evening in late September, I noticed something odd. Grave 119. Ophelia M. Hart looked freshly disturbed. The dirt was uneven. A few flowers had been rearranged into a spiral shape right in the center. No footprints. No recent burials scheduled. Could have been wind. Maybe animals. But the next night, it happened again. Same grave. Dirt shifted. This time, a single white lily left in the middle. Looked freshly cut, but no stems nearby. I started leaving markers. Tiny sticks placed upright in the soil just to track movement. Every night at exactly 7:12 p.m., the sticks would be knocked over. Always 7:12. Not a minute before or after. I checked the CCTV from the chapel roof. Nothing. Footage glitched for 10 seconds. When it came back, the sticks were down. Flowers moved. Then one night, there was a boot print, dead center of the grave. I knew that tread pattern. It was my own. Size 11. Government issue sole. I hadn't stepped there. The cemetery had a stone chapel near the west gate. Hadn't been used in years. One night, I passed it and noticed a dim glow through the stained glass window. I unlocked the door. Inside, rows of old pews, dust thick in the air, candles flickering on their own. No matches, no wind, no drafts. At the altar stood a casket, open. Inside was a long, rectangular mirror, facing outward. I don't know why I looked. Curiosity. Stupidity. In the mirror, I saw myself, but not as I was. My reflection was older, haggard, blood on my forehead, and he was whispering. His mouth moved. Don't dig. The candles blew out. I slammed the door and didn't go back. Next morning, I looked up Ophelia M. Hart in the cemetery registry. She died in 1904. Young. No cause listed. Just mild disturbance prior to burial. Closed casket ordered. I started digging into Old Town records. Ophelia was said to be unstable. Touched by the veil, they called it. Seen walking the cemetery before her own death. Local children used to dare each other to sleep near her grave. Several died in the years that followed, always of unknown causes. One reportedly vanished near her burial site. No one questioned it back then. A few nights later, I did something I shouldn't have. I opened the grave. Only dug down about 2 feet when I hit something solid. Wood, old, rotting. The coffin, but it wasn't sealed. It was open a crack, and there were stairs. I swear to you, beneath the coffin was a narrow stairwell leading down into blackness. I shone my flashlight, but the beam hit nothing, just more stairs. Then I heard it, a voice, my voice, but older, hoarse. You shouldn't have come back. I ran, covered the grave, didn't sleep for 2 days. I tried to quit, but management brushed me off. Stress, overwork, take a few nights off. When I returned, the grave was sealed with fresh cement. I didn't do that, but on my first night back, the chapel burned to the ground. Locals blamed kids, arson maybe. Fire reports said a mirror exploded. Glass shards were found buried inside headstones 30 feet away. That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. I left the job, moved to a neighboring town. But last week, I got a message from a new caretaker who took over. He said Grave 119 has been unsettling, that every night at 7:12 p.m., something shifts. Last night, he found a bare footprint on the soil. Human, deep, no one else on the property. Then he asked me one thing I still can't answer. Why is your name carved on the back of Ophelia's headstone? Some nights, I wake up gasping, not from a nightmare, but because I feel something wet, cold, pressing on my chest, like soil, and stares beneath me, waiting. Thank you all for joining me on these journeys. Your support means everything, and I truly love reading your reactions and personal experiences in the comments. If these stories gave you chills or just made you feel something, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more haunting tales. Have you ever had a moment like this? Something unexplainable? Something unforgettable? If so, share in the comments below. Every story adds to the heartbeat of this community. And if you know someone who would enjoy a little scare, share this video with them. Stay tuned for more spine-chilling stories. And remember, sometimes the scariest tales are the ones that feel real. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one, if you dare.